is up, everyone? I'm Jeff Lund, and this is the Mediocre Alaskan Podcast, where we are intolerant and weak-minded attitudes that keep people from pursuing new and exciting things in the areas of fitness, outdoors, and general lifestyle. Spring break started today. Well, technically it started Friday. We didn't have school on Friday. But the Region 5 basketball tournament was in town. And so I was at school from about 8 a.m. to about 10 or so p.m., so long days. But watching basketball, the girls team I helped coach, the K-High Lady Kings, won their 5th straight region championship, which is very cool. A lot of fun. Good kids working hard, and they earned it. So that was cool. But today, first day of spring break, we got practice this week. But I do have mornings where I can go out and explore. Next week, we head to state, and then after that, it'll be over. It'll be full-time outdoor season. But for the morning, went out steelhead fishing for the first time this year, seriously, and then got me thinking about sharing some things. I know a lot of people come up to Alaska and steelhead fish, or live here and have never steelhead fished, or they have steelhead or fished for steelhead with spinning rods, and they have not gone over to the fly fishing part here. So I'm going to talk a little steelhead fly fishing, and then in future episodes, well, maybe we break this up into a couple different parts and have some different people on and talk about what they recommend. As is the case with pretty much everything, people swear by their own rods and their own brands and their own flies. You could get 5 different people together and talk about their favorite steelhead flies, and there will be maybe a common similarity when it comes to that fly, but by and large, it's going to be very up to the individual. It's going to depend on a lot of different conditions, weather, water. So I'm just going to give you what I go with, and then I can have people on here to talk about how I'm wrong. That's fun, right? We can have a conversation about that. So first, start off with the actual rod. I have a 9-foot 6-inch Sage Method. It's in a 7-weight. I don't really know why I chose the 7 other than the 8. 8 with fly fishing is kind of, people say, well, what's the best all-around rod? Well, it depends on what you're going for. And if you go with a 5-weight, 5-weight is a good all-around weight for like trout. You're not going to be catching many salmon, or you're not going to want to use that for salmon or steelhead. So it's not really an all-around rod. If you get a 7-weight or an 8-weight, 8-weight's kind of the next one up. So you get a 5-weight and you get a 7-weight, if you get a 5-weight and you get an 8-weight. So your 5 weights for trout and your 8 weights for salmon and steelhead. But sometimes those in between can kind of be the money. When I was in California, I was fishing a lot from drift boats, and you would have complex nymphing rigs, and there was a couple bits of shot on it, plus the indicator, plus the 2 flies. And so I bought a 6-weight that was just a little bit faster. It was a Sage 1 9.6 6-weight, and it was better than, I liked it a lot more than my 5-weight. And then not only for the casting or for the nymphing, but also dealing with some of those bigger fish that you hook up. So if you're getting 20, 24-inch rainbows, having a little bit extra was good. So I think the dialing down just a little bit and getting a 7-weight, it just felt really nice. I liked it. Still like it. Love it. It's a fast action rod, which some people find to be really unforgiving. And if you're not a good caster, then it can really be difficult. But I am by no means an expert caster. It just happens to maybe fit my casting style pretty well. It's also nice if you're using heavier things. If you have to cast far, it can be nice. If you're casting heavy rigs or you're high sticking and you're reset as the fly is at the end of its drift, you kind of do a lift and then you just kind of shoot the fly forward. Having that extra backbone in the fast action rod is kind of nice for that, at least for me. Pick a rod that fits your what you like. As far as the reel, I have a C3 LA from the Fly Shop. The Fly Shop is in Redding, California. That's where I bought it. I also bought the Sage Method when I was there. But I like the reel. There's nothing wrong with the reel whatsoever. It's currently on sale. If you go to the Fly Shop's website, it's on sale for $75. I'm not really sure why it's only $75. Maybe they're discontinuing it, or there's a new model coming out. Whatever. I bought it for 3 times that, and I've liked it. It's been fine with me. So there's the rod and the reel. As far as line, I go with floating line. The rivers that I fish for steelhead are not massive rivers. Southeast Alaska, a whole bunch of islands. And so you don't have those rivers that are draining massive amounts of area. So they don't have so much more time in traveling hundreds of miles, and they accumulate so much more water. So a lot of these rivers are a lot smaller. The longest rivers drain, still only half of the island. And so you're really not looking at massive quantities of water. So there are some deep slots where some fish can hold, but you can just, figure that out by adding weight or by using a heavier fly. But the in-between spots, between the deep spots or between the falls, they're usually just really nice swinging water or high-sticking water, nymphing water. So I think that's probably the next thing there. There's kind of maybe 4 types of fly fishing. There's the sexiest, which is the swinging. If you're swinging for steelhead, then you feel like you are bound for misery, but you're doing it correctly. That's a great way to get to pick up fish. Probably my favorite way to pick up fish. You're staying connected to the line, and then as it's starting to swing, and you know where the fish is, you're just expecting that hitter to just stop, and you set the hook, and oh man, so good. I love catching fish that way. The nymphing is nymphing for steelhead is something that's definitely popular up here. I got a buddy who swears not only by the nymphing method, but also using nymphs. The most popular, or stereotypical steelhead fly is a long pink leech-looking thing, or the squid rowers. They got all the funky legs, so they take on a shrimp-type look. But his rig, if you were looking at him, you would think that he is fishing for brown trout, or he's fishing for rainbow trout in California. Even prince nymph type looking nymphs, what he uses, and he's pretty successful. So again, that just it's what you use, how you use it, and just having faith in that. That's the most important thing. So swinging, nymphing, and then you got maybe 2 indicator fishing categories. One is with a fly, and then one's with a jig. Some fly fishers are totally against using an indicator because it really is just a bobber. Some people refuse to call it a bobber. It's a bobber.
After years of fine print contracts and getting ripped off by big wireless providers, if we've learned anything, it's that there's always a catch. So when I first heard that Mint Mobile offers premium wireless starting at just $15 a month, I thought, what's the catch? But after talking to them and using their service, it all made sense. There isn't one. Mint Mobile's secret sauce is that they're the first company to sell wireless service online only. They cut out the cost of retail stores and pass those sweet savings directly to you. For anyone who hates their phone bill, Mint Mobile offers premium wireless for just $15 a month. I was hesitant about having to get a new phone and a new phone number, but with Mint, you can use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and keep your same phone and your same phone number along with all of your existing contacts. Mint Mobile gives you the best rate whether you're buying for one or for a family, and at Mint, families start at 2 lines. All plans come with unlimited talk and text plus high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Switch to Mint Mobile and get premium wireless service starting at just $15 a month. To get your new wireless plan for just $15 a month and to get the plan shipped to your door for free, go to mintmobile.com/waypoint. That is mintmobile.com/waypoint. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/waypoint.
Really, just because it's fly fishing doesn't make a bobber an indicator. But anyway, it makes you feel better. It's fine. So using an indicator with the fly can work. If you can tink the fly on the bottom, or you can adjust the where the indicator is on the line, and so you can kind of suspend that, which again, purists feel that that's kind of cheating if you're suspending the fly and you're floating it right to those spots. As far as indicators go, I used to be a big fan of the thingamabobbers, and they're still really good, but the airflow indicators, they're so much easier to slide up and down on the line, and don't mess up your line. So I'll take some pictures, and then I'll post this on the Mediocre Alaskan website, so you can kind of see what I'm talking about a little bit here. But the airflow indicators are great. And then a lot of people use steelhead jigs. People who use spin casting rods just open up the bail and cast out the jig and the floating bobber, and that's how they do it. And just feed out more and more line, and let that go out there, and let the bobber suspend the jig. The same sort of principle can work when you're using fly rod. The benefit of the jig is that it gets the fly down, and you're fishing really, really quick. But you can do the same thing by adding barbell eyes. You can have a heavier fly, and so I tend to like using an actual fly rather than a jig. But if the main goal is to catch fish, I don't think you can really chastise people for their method of doing it. I think fly fishing for them is so much more fun. But again, if people are out, that's kind of the main thing. If you're out and you're being respectful to the resource, then whatever. It's probably good overall for humanity. So that's rod reel methods. As far as packs, as far as weather, as far as those sort of things, having a dry bag is really, really important. Not a water resistant; it's got to be waterproof. I have a fish pond pack, and I love it, absolutely love it. I had an Umpqua pack that wasn't waterproof that I figured I'd just use. I like to take my camera, and so I'd take a dry bag to put my camera in, and then I would just get that out of the Umpqua pack because it was a sling pack, and I liked the way that you could sling it right in front, and you didn't have to take it off in order to use it. But it was the dimensions of it were a little bit off. So I really like the versatility of the fish pond pack because you can put stuff that's bulkier and more square in there. It's not made for just thin fly boxes and other things. So you can throw a camera in there. You can throw a sweatshirt in there or a small jacket or something like that, and thermos with some coffee. So I really, really like that. It can work as a day pack. You can put, if you can bring a jet boil and make some coffee or make some food right there, you can do that. So I love the waterproof bag, extremely important. Waders, whatever brand. I go with Redding. They're fine. I've had Sims, and they're expensive, and Reddington is not as expensive, and you're going to put holes in gear, man. It's just the way it is. It doesn't matter if you spend $800 on a pair of waders and you fall on rocks, man. You're still at some point it's going to break down. So nothing is going to make you rock proof, knife proof, whatever proof. You nick yourself. You're at camp and you're cutting firewood and whatever, man. Stuff happens to gear. You're sliding down rocks. The berry bushes on the upper Sacramento River in California were terrible. You'd get there and thorns would just go through, man. So I spend a little bit less money, but I get the more expensive Reddington ones. Like them, they're fine. Stay with them. The Sims wading boots that have the steel cincher. I really, really like them. I was hesitant at first, just because I trust laces, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to do the wading boot that didn't have the laces. Yeah, I like them. I like them. It's a pretty secure fit, which is pretty nice and easy. All you do is just turn the dial. So it's their lacing system, the BOA, I believe it's pronounced BOA or BOA lacing system is their registered trademarked system, and pretty good. I really do like those a lot. Don't go with felt. I fish in different states, and so I don't go with the felt waders. wading boots. I'm sure that's going to be outlawed. I know at one time they were talking about banning them up here, which is smart, man. You can't be messing with that. Yeah, you're gonna have people that you're not going to be secure. You might fall down. It's just part of the things of fly fishing. And so if you need a wading stick, then get a wading stick. But don't the risk of taking mussels or sort of an invasive species of grass or whatever into a different river. That's not worth the risk. So get regular boot bottoms. As far as everything else, that probably about does it. I have a 7-weight rod. Get a reel that's going to be able to deal with fish. Good indicator. If you're going to use fly or jig, bring some swinging flies. Bring a little bit of everything. The same river can have, different areas that different types of fishing. Some people would say you need 3 different rods for the 3 different parts of the river that I fish, because one's a really, really deep slot. One of them is more of a long cast and a long swing type. Another spot is more like a nymphing thing. So be ready to tie a lot of knots with different flies using different areas, or you just use the same fly and just make it go where it needs to go. If you spend too much time adjusting and moving and tying, then you're really not fishing. As far as being patient when it comes to steelhead, some people are really patient and they want to fish the same hole, and they want to, if it takes 2 hours, it'll take 2 hours. If it takes 1,000 casts, it takes 1,000 casts. But if I'm the first one of the river that I want to fish, I want to fish all of those spots rather than just pick one and hope that it works out. So I'll spend about a half hour or so on each spot, unless I get into fish. And if I get one and it goes cold, then I move on to something else. I want to see as much of the river as possible, rather than commit to just one spot. And some people would think it's crazy, and some people prefer to stay in one spot. But I like to cover some ground. The time investment in walking to a new hole might be worth it. So obviously you're not fishing while you're moving, but it might be worth it. You spend the meat hole. Every river has a meat hole. You stay at the meat hole, but maybe the meat hole is not really producing. So you stay there because it's called the meat hole for an extra 2 hours and catch maybe one more fish, when if you would have gone up to the bend, what I call number 3 on the river that I will not reveal, number 3 sometimes has been really hot. And so it's not the meat hole, but it's it doesn't look as fishy. And it's not water that's right for people using spinning rods and opening the bail and doing that sort of fishing. And so those fish aren't going to be as harassed. So I foregone the meat hole, or you spend a couple minutes there at the meat hole, move up to the next one, and I've crushed it at those spots. And then as soon as it turns off, let's move to the next spot and see what's going on there. As far as fishing after people, I kind of look at how they're fishing. I don't want to drop in next to someone who is fishing. So if someone's at the spot, they're at the spot, I leave them alone. To try to move up on top of them and just get barely close to, maybe I'll push them out. That's bull crap. Or on the bottom part, I might stand and talk a little bit, but just get an idea of how they're fishing it. And if they're fishing it totally different than the way I would, then I'll just wait for them to leave. I'll go somewhere else, and if I see them walking on the trailer, I see that they've left, then I'll go right back to that, and I'll fish it my way just to see if they weren't getting down to it. Some of those spots, you don't really spook off the fish because the people who are fishing it aren't really putting the fly or the spinner or jig or whatever in front of them. So it's like it's not being fished. You're not really pressuring the fish because you're doing it so wrong that as soon as they leave, you can get in there. So if someone is fishing it well and fishing it right, then I'm just going to leave it alone. Like, this guy knows what he's doing, or this lady knows what she's doing, so there's no need for me to drop in and try to think that I'm better than them, or think that my fly is going to be magic when theirs wasn't. So yeah, cover ground. Bring a lot of the rivers that require hiking, so dressing in layers is important. Really, really heavy, bulky jackets that are waterproof and insulated, they can be really tough because you'll sweat a ton as you're walking from one spot to another, and then you get in the water and you'll get cold. So layering is important. Staying dry is important. Shoot. That'll do it. think we'll call that part one. As I said, I'm going to talk to some other people about areas to fish if they're willing to divulge specific spots. So I'll try to get some guides on here, and we'll do up the spring steelhead because it's springtime almost. The exciting time. We've made it through the winter, and it's time to have a lot of fun. Thanks for listening, and make sure you check out the MediocreAlaskan.com. I'll post some pictures of some flies and some stuff that works for me, and we'll talk to you next time.